I'm sorry, I'm trying to get us online here
I know. Hello, everybody. Tim is trying to get us on Facebook. You know, we go through this whole technical nightmare every week just to be with you. Welcome to If These Walls Could Talk. I'm Wendy Stuart.
I'm Tym Moss. Hi.
Okay, we are broadcasting. I think we are. Did we get on Facebook? Is it happening?
Yes, we are. We should be.
Thank you, Tym Moss. But you know what? Who should have to go through this? It's so stressful.
I agree.
It's every week. And you know what? We have nobody we can call. It's not like we can call up Dickerberg. Oops. It's not like we can call him up and say, hey, WTF, how do we make this happen? But you know what? We are here every week just to bring you the best and raise your spirits and talk about our lives. How are you, Tim?
I'm good. How are you?
I am well. And you know what? I'm happy you're back in New York. I missed you.
Yeah. Well, I'm grateful to be back in New York as well, but I kind of brought a load of exhaustion with me, and last week I got hit with this cold or RSV, whatever it is.
It's the bubonic plague. That's what I'm calling it.
Right. It just sidelined me, plus all the exhaustion just seeped into every pore, and I was down for several days. So I'm back up, but I didn't want to come in person and infect everyone there. So
blistering with germs. Thank you so much for being so considerate.
So me and my little germs will just be here in the corner.
You can just be there and just vibe on your germs. So there you go. There's the cough.
How are you?
That everyone had. I am, thank God, healthy. I had a great show at Industry Bar with the Imperial Court of New York. It was called Music of the Night. It was Broadway show tunes. Mama Don't Sing, but I did a fierce lip sync to Rose's Turn. I have wanted to do that number since I've seen so many drag performers do it, and I'm like, I can totally do that. The thing that was so great, we raised money for Broadway Cares Equity Fight Says, which is such an amazing organization, but we had a lot of general audience. And, you know, the Imperial Court of New York, we raise money for other non-for-profits, LGBTQ, and other things. And it was nice that the public, right? Isn't that always great when the public comes in and supports what you're doing? And it was really it was a wonderful way to spend a Saturday afternoon. Because I got to tell you, I had been on Facebook earlier that day, and Mama was dragged down. You know that's hard for someone like me.
Absolutely.
And I came in and I'm like, oh my God. And I walk into Industry and everyone's running around in their drag outfits and the music is pumping and it's my favorite bartender. And I saw the vibe and the energy and I was completely lifted.
Wonderful.
And you know what? That's what we all have to do now. We have to make it a point every single day to do that.
Yep, we have to lift each other up too.
We have to lift each other up. And which is why, you know what? Today's guest is absolutely perfect in so many ways for me.
I agree.
The fact that they're absolutely gorgeous. They're colorful. My God, I love color. We all need more color in our lives. And our guest today has been described as Joni Mitchell set to a click track like a queer Cyndi Lauper. I mean, that alone had me. Okay. Yep. Our guest today has a show coming up at the Wild Project. Previews are 7th, 8th, and 9th. Opening night is the 10th. And I am happy to say thank you, Emily Owens. I am going to be there for the opening night. I'm very excited. I want you all to put your hands together for Bitch from Bitchcraft. Come on in, darling.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Gorgeous.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Welcome.
Thank you. Sorry you're sick.
He'll get over it.
What's that?
Sorry you're sick, but
no, I'm fine now. I'm good now.
Good.
Just the remnants. Yeah.
I'm glad you wore blue today, Tim, because it's. I love when people are. I don't know. Color is like, what would a world be without color?
I agree.
Oh my God,
I also it has a little
to die for.
I wanted something a little wild for Bitch. So this was about the only thing I could find with a skull on it. So
cute.
Wait, let me see what you have. What does it say?
It's for the lighthouse in somewhere in Pennsylvania, I forget, or in Florida, I forget where, in Jupiter, Florida.
Jupiter.
Yeah, I went. So
You have a logo, Tym Moss. I'm like, so
Heck
totally.
yes.
Heck yes. So here we are. Your show is going to be, you must be so excited.
I'm really excited. I'm of course nervous. You know, we're in Tech Week right now, so it's just like, oh my God, how is this all going to come together? You know that feeling?
Well, you're going to make it come together. It's who you are. You know,
absolutely. Firstly, tell us about this show. How did this come about, and what is it about?
Okay, great. It's an autobiographical show. When I was going to release Bitchcraft, you know, I had taken a long kind of hiatus in between albums. And when I was making Bitchcraft, you know, I was just really giving myself time and space to make the biggest thing that I could hear. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to
love that.
Give myself that.
Now, when you talk about your time and space, how much time are we talking to create this?
I took 8 years to make that album.
8 years, Tim. Wow.
Yeah.
I grew old during it.
Oh, it's a breath of fresh air here.
So
8 years.
This show.
Yeah, and I was touring, I was doing other stuff, but yeah, I just really like took my time because I just took all pressure off, you know. And then when I was getting ready to tour it, I've always had this dream of telling my story, which sounds cheesy, but you know, ultimately we're all unique, you know, and like every story, you know, as you look around, you're like, okay, I have had kind of a wild life, you know.
And we all talk about this all the time. Bitch, if you don't have your story, what the hell else do you have? You've got to be able to tell your unique story, and you're doing it. And people, I don't know anything about you except what I read, and I'm really looking forward to uncovering stuff on you today. But it's that story that turns us on. That's what makes you unique.
Right. Yeah.
So now is this show autobiographical from birth to now, or is it more the creating of Birthcraft?
No, it's like I start off as a kid. You see my childhood kind of thing.
Little bitch.
Yeah, little bitch.
Little bitch.
Baby bitch.
Your mother was like, little bitch, get over here.
Yeah, exactly. And you'll know from moment one what my parents named me, but it is a good kind of aspect to the show. So so we go through my childhood, and then you know my feminist awakening basically in college.
So we have it in college. And can you name the college? No one ever says what college they went to.
I went to DePaul, the acting school there.
Oh, of course. My daughter went to Smith. That's a real feminist. Oh yeah, you would know that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she had a feminist
hardcore. Okay, so you went to DePaul.
Went to DePaul
for drama.
Yep, I was an acting major.
Right.
And it was kind of a rebellion because I was a classical music kid. Like I had played violin since I was 4.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. So yeah, and I was a very like shy kid. And I know you can see it, right?
She's a wallflower. I have a wallflower next to me. What am I going to do?
No, I can understand. I mean, I can kind of understand growing up. If you feel like an outsider and that people don't understand, you have a tendency to withdraw.
Pull in.
Yes. Yes. And so yeah, and you know, classical music was also very, you know, on one hand, like the violin, I feel like saved me in a lot of ways.
Wow.
And then classical music was very restrictive and like boring costumes.
Yeah.
That's when you knew you were meant for better things.
And I kind of like surprised my parents. I surprised everybody. I was like, I'm going to go to acting school. And, you know, so I put the violin away for a while and started studying acting. And I met my first bandmate, Animal, who, you know,
that was Animal who you first collaborated with.
Yeah. So we were actors together. And yeah, we named ourselves Bitch and Animal. We thought we were making like feminist theater when we started, you know. And it wasn't until we were like on tour with Ani DeFranco, getting these like press things calling us a band, we were like, oh, I guess
this is real, right? This shit got very real at that point for you.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love that. Well, there's so much to unpack just in this little part.
Oh my God.
So you were playing the violin and you were kind of dedicated to the classical violin for most of your life growing up.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, how did you figure out acting? Did you do a show in school, in high school or something? Or?
Yes, because the other piece is that my mom is like a musical theater person.
So like, I was going to ask, I love that, Tim, right? It had to come from somewhere.
Yes.
Mom.
There's that piece of the puzzle. Click.
Exactly. So my mom is like total musical theater person and ran a tap dancing school in our basement.
Stop.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So there is tapping in the show.
Yes.
Because you grew up tapping.
I grew up tapping.
Wow.
Yes.
What is that? Shuffle ball change?
Shuffle ball change.
Tim, do you know how to Tim's
Shuffle up to Buffalo.
Yeah.
You know how to do that, Tim, right? You've never done that for me.
A little time step.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So that was kind of like her, her love and everything. And like my sister, like speaking of Gypsy, my sister was definitely like always the star, like she was Annie. I was like the nameless orphan, She was Gypsy. I was the ass of the cow.
Stop it. You're killing me. I know this is going to be in the show, but this is like really.
I love it. I know.
That is hilarious. You got to put that.
I love that.
The next one. That is hilarious. Right.
So I had the reality of theater in my life, and
but she was the star, and you were the kid with the violin, the quiet little bitch with the violin.
So,
but
were you started
musically? When is that how I had to take violin in 4th grade. It was required. I hated it. Right. And it was horrible for me.
Yeah.
Were you gifted? With it.
I think, and because I started so young, I think that
4
makes
years
a difference.
old. Like that's what they do in Japan and places like that. The kids start really young.
Yeah. So it was
because there comes a point, because with classical music, it is finite. Like there is an edge to that universe. And it's almost like learning all the songs and how to play them and perform them and all of this. After a while, I'm sure there's a light switch that goes off. Like, wait a minute, I can do this other kind of music or this other style of music, and still with this instrument that I have.
Yes, because like with the classical training, like you're always reading the music. So anytime you pull away and like my whole life, it was like you have to practice. And it's like, by the time I got to like high school, I was supposed to be practicing like 2 to 3 hours a day. It's like, wow, so boring, but anytime you like pull your head away from the music and you're just playing something because it feels good in your heart, or it's simple, but it's beautiful. Yeah. Like in a way you feel like you're not like you're cheating.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
So it's like there was something about my relationship with Animal. Animal was self-taught musician, drummer.
Wow.
And like, it's just play one note. Like who the fuck cares? There's no like, competition here, which classical music, there's a lot of competition.
Absolutely.
You've got to get those drills faster and you're always trying to get to the next chair,
But Animal was your first collaboration.
But again, just that we're jumping up a little bit because there's still that connecting part where all of a sudden were you checking out different colleges and then decided on DePaul, and then you kind of went, because that took a lot to go after 2 hours of practicing day after day after day to go, no, I'm going to put this down.
Yeah,
and do something completely different. That's a huge shift.
It was a huge shift. And like, I remember we have a little bit of that in the show. Like my dad was pissed.
That was going to be, like, what was your sister's reaction? She was the star.
Yeah. I mean, she was pretty supportive because she went to Carnegie Mellon.
Oh my God. CMU, right. We know a lot of people.
Yeah. So she was always, really supportive of it. I don't feel like it was her thing of being like, well, I'm the star and you're supposed to.
Right. She was cool about it.
Yeah. But
your dad was pissed.
He was pissed because he's like, how are you going to make a living? Like we thought, classical musician, you have like a nice salary or whatever. It's at least expected. But
I don't know. Do you? I mean, as a classical, we have friends with those kinds of backgrounds, and they end up on these shows doing their thing.
Yeah.
Can a person really? It's very, very difficult. Those fields are very difficult.
Yeah, all the art,
the arts
in America.
Right.
My God.
Yeah.
And in acting school, I remember feeling like the violin, the fact that I had put it down, it was very painful. Like it was like I had broken up with it or something.
I was going to say it would almost be grieving.
Yes.
Because you've separated. Yeah. That That was it's been part of your life since you were 4 years old every day.
Yes. Yeah. Like in a way, like I realized like, wow, that's like one of my deepest relationships, you know?
Yes.
And I just
love
stuck her under the bed.
You stuck her under the bed, but God damn it, you can pull her out and depend on her again. Yes. How many girlfriends can you say that about? Let's put our violin and bow on the table here today on this show. It's true. The violin is there for you.
It's so true.
So what drew you? What made you decide, of all things, acting? Was it musical theater, or so they still have that musical
element?
I went
to like straight acting
drama.
School.
Wow.
Yeah, I went into drama. Wow. I had a teacher in high school that really like pushed me in that direction and like
thought you had something.
Yeah. And in hindsight, sometimes I think I went to acting school to learn how to like be in my body.
Right. I get
oh
that.
My God, that is really right, Tim. It's and to feel okay in your body. Yeah. Not only to be in your body, but it's all right. It's an okay place to be.
Well, and also I think to maybe expand your identity, because up to that point you had only been a violin player.
Right.
And especially being an actor, because you explore all different facets of humanity. Of being human, all these different characters. I think that's wonderful. So what did your new explored body and mind and soul have to say about that when you were exploring acting?
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. And I love acting.
Oh, it's obvious. She sparkles, and it is. The passion's there. It's interesting to me that you discovered being a feminist at the same time.
Yes.
I came up in school at a totally different time than you, when that was all like, I know Gloria Steinem. That's how far back I go. And it is interesting to me, even my daughter is 31, going to Smith, and how they viewed feminism compared to my generation. What was
how your daughter does?
Yes. What and Smith, where she went really hardcore. I'm like, Kyle, these women are not warm and fuzzy. And then I looked and I'm like, neither is my daughter. She's not. She's like, it's like talking to a Siamese cat half the time. It's like, stop bitching. Or no, he knows that. But I'm curious, what was it about discovering feminism in college? What spoke to you?
Gosh, I mean, and this is in the play. Like, I go to my first women's studies class.
Wow.
Just anything like that. I mean, it was just so far out of my own anything I'd ever been taught to think about. I mean, just like the littlest details about like, the beauty myth. Like, why are we doing all this work to make ourselves, and what for? And
for who?
Yes.
Right.
And
right.
Yeah. So it was really important, like that class, and then meeting Animal. Like, Animal was openly queer. I was straight, I was still in the closet or
finding who you were at that time.
And like, Animal's trans. So, at the time, we were like girlfriends. We started dating, and it was just like this whole new reality. She had a shaved head and was all like,
and
from New York.
First trans relationship.
Yeah. And my first, I mean, he was still, he identified as a woman at that point. And so, we were like dykes together, and that was like the first time.
That is so cool. Now, where did you grow up?
I grew up outside of Pittsburgh. And then when I was 11, we moved to the suburbs of Detroit.
Okay. So you've had like city accessibility.
Suburban. Very suburban life. And my parents are English. So they were like, transplants. So we were always, I say it in my show, we were the weird English family.
I was going to say, like, that had to affect you even in school and stuff, that you were different.
Yeah.
Because you were the weird English family.
So. Like my sister and I still talk about it. Like we were like shy about like what our parents ate and stuff, because it's like weird stuff.
Fish and chips.
Yeah. Marmite and liver and onions.
Marmite. Oh my God, that's hilarious.
I love the awakening in the women's studies class. Like with again, because women are under such pressure constantly and trying to be submissed, repressed and pushed down and molded into what this patriarchal society wants them to be.
Exactly.
Rather than to, and I mean, that would just be quite a enlightenment to start figuring out that, wait a minute, I don't have to fall into these molds. I don't have to do that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Loving that.
Yes. And it was just like, and as soon as we decided to like name ourselves Bitch and Animal, it was just like, like fuck this world.
Right. We can do whatever we want. So you were like what, 19 or 20 at that time? And where were we in history? What was going on in history at that time?
So it's like,
I always like to relate that.
I graduated from college in 96.
Right. So what was going on in the country at that time? Yeah.
So
feminism was, women
AIDS was still there, but the bigger part was behind us, and Reagan had already come and gone, and
he had come and gone at that point. Yeah, it was a brave new world, and a great time for you to be discovering who you were.
Yeah, and it was like Ani had just come. Ani started. Right. I mean, she was such a huge influence on my feminism and the Indigo Girls. And
by the way, they have an amazing documentary on Netflix. Did you watch it?
So incredible.
I'm so in love with them, and I never knew anything about them. I remember when they were young, and now I fast forward to who they are now. They're so, and I love that they still have such a huge following.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. So Indigo Girls were an influencer for you.
For sure. Yeah.
At that time.
And they were huge supporters of Bitchcraft. They took me when they heard the album, they were like, come on tour. Like Amy Ray was like, really into the record. And so I've been touring with them for the last couple of years.
I love the way Bitch throws out touring. It's like, when in doubt, I go on tour. That is that's no easy feat. How did that happen for you? And you continue to do touring?
Yes, I continue to tour. Right. It sounds. Have you ever toured?
I'm not that kind of performer.
Yeah.
I've done some touring. Yeah.
Tim does. Tim has definitely toured. I never have.
Yeah. So let me just. So Animal and I we decide we're gonna name ourselves Bitch and Animal. We played one show in Michigan because I was living there after college or something. And we could tell, when you can tell by how people react, you're like, okay, we're onto something.
Yes.
And I quit my job the next day, gave them no notice, totally burned a bridge.
Yes. Is that when they named you Bitch?
I love that, Tim. What a bitch. She quit without notice. What was your job anyway?
I worked at a violin shop.
Of course. Oh my God.
You've dropped that violin a few times.
Right? She took her violin. Don't let the door hit you in the butt on the way out. And then you drove to New York.
Bitch. Yeah. Right. I've never been to New York.
I'm a bad bitch.
Yeah. Animal's a New Yorker. So, he's from Queens. So we drove here together. And I I used to work at Taylor's on 2nd Ave.
Yeah.
So we moved here and then went up to P-Town for a summer.
And they loved you.
And we started playing these weekly shows, these free shows. And that's where Ani's people saw us. Sweet. And so we kind of went on tour pretty early on. I'm saying
they were picked up really early on. That is.
So it was
going on tour. Was that opening?
Yes. Yeah. Opening for
you
her.
were the opening.
Yes.
Wow.
Driving our little van,
Yeah.
From town to town, and then we graduated into an RV, which we call.
You did, you got you.
Yeah.
RV, she was living large.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow.
Home is where you park it.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
Which an RV is really nice for touring because that's the hardest part is just all those feature comforts.
Yeah.
Not having your own pillow and
exactly.
Not the RV is great. It's and it's a contained thing. It's small houses, tiny houses. You have everything you need. But this was what, almost a year and a half into your career?
Yeah.
Who has that kind of luck? That's we've had so many musicians, very well known, a lot of them. That is what happened to you is just amazing. Did you know it?
Part of the feminist lineage too. I love that it was kind of this feminist story.
Right.
She was such an idol of mine.
Yeah.
And to be
who would have
seen by her. Yeah. So
well, seen and supported and invited and
right, Tim?
That's incredible. That's wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah. So
now, did you do like Lilith Fair?
Never did Lilith Fair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, we never did Lilith Fair.
How long were you on tour
like
for?
We were too queer or something.
Oh, I love that. Wait, that's a t-shirt. I'm too queer for Lilith Fair.
That's good.
That's great. Print it. Really. That's fabulous. Wow.
Oh,
amazing. So,
Yeah.
how long
well,
did you?
firstly,
Since last week.
What's that? I didn't hear the question.
It was touring since last week.
Oh my God.
How long tour for? Jesus Christ.
I love it.
That was the
So we'll
late
just
90s.
stop along the way. But firstly, I just want to say that we do have a music video that I would like to show that is from Bitchcraft.
Yay.
So let's take a look at Bitch.
Yay.
I picked this video. I went through all your stuff. It just it is. That's what I made. Yeah. Yeah,
It's a new year or about to be. I want to forgive everything that has harmed me. Roll off me now, wave a cell tower. Leave me now, my hands all power. Here I am. Here I am. There's a lottery all in front of me, paid for by oil wars and some cheesy company. But we see through the smoke and screen. We can be the bigger dream. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Look what we brought, for nothing got caught, for loving found out, there's nothing, no ground to grow on. We did our part, we cried, we built a heart, now we are way too smart to sing your war song. You're the man, 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 well, I'm the woman. In the underground, the most amazing sound. We sing through everything that tries to cut us down. But we're not all just on our knees. We can be the bigger dream. Yes, we can. Yes, ma'am. Look what we brought, for nothing got caught, for loving found out, there's nothing, no ground to grow on. We did our part, we cried, we built a heart, now we are way too smart to sing your war song. You're the man, 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 well, I'm the woman. You're the man, 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 well, I'm the woman. What we bought, for nothing got caught, for loving found out, there's nothing, no ground to grow on. We did our part, we cried, we built a heart, now we are way too smart to sing your war song. You're the man, 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 well, I'm the woman. You're the man, 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 well, I'm the woman.
Well,
Yes.
Aww.
Yes, bitch. Yes.
yes, bitch.
That broomstick.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I just happened to think here.
So,
What you think of this?
What are you doing?
yes, bitch.
Thank you.
Tim knows how to really snap it too. I've never gotten that snap with the fan.
I just happen to think I have that sitting right here.
Yeah.
I love it.
Oh my God. Art imitating life, imitating art. I love the video.
yours.
I love the power and the movement. And tell us a little bit about what went into that video.
Ooh. I met that choreographer, Megan Fowler Hurst. I saw her perform with a band called Object as Subject.
Okay.
Oh my goddess.
So
that
many
lead
bands.
singer is, I mean, talk about feminist performance art. They were incredible. And I said to her, I was like, I want to work with you. I knew I had like this was the first song that I released of this new collection. And this is what made Kill Rock Stars come to me. I had worked with Kill Rock Stars way in the past, and they were like, we love this like new pop direction you're doing. So this was the first song I released for Bitchcraft. And anyway, so I knew I wanted to incorporate the broom. That was kind of the beginning of the broom stuff. And so she and I worked together she does all this witchy stuff, like in that part where we're doing this kind of stuff in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like we all actually, like, she had this whole system where we like wrote down a spell that like, something that we wanted to put into the universe. And then she takes the letters and she combines it. And then we're all like writing our own letters. I mean, she's
totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering what everybody was doing with that. That's
Right.
Yeah. Right. And, I have this theme of the like recurring theme of like notebooks because I'm a writer and a poet. And so, we knew we wanted to incorporate that. And yeah, she was a huge part of the direction of that video. And then Oscar Peterson, who's the director of it. I mean, we took over a loft in Brooklyn and painted the whole thing black and lit it. And we, had these dancers who were really brilliant.
They are really brilliant. There's a lot of dancers in that video, and the way the powerful way everyone works off of everyone else.
Yeah.
But you're the star.
Yeah.
Hey. You're the star. Hey.
And my friend Dusty, who's also working on Bitchcraft down at the theater as we speak, he's part of the costume team. So he did the costumes for that. And the cape that I'm wearing at the end, I don't know if you could see it, but it's black and it's made out of all trash bags.
Love it.
And it's one of Machine Dazzle's pieces.
Stop. We love it. He just had a show.
Yes.
Incredible. I love Machine Dazzle.
Me too.
Oh my God. It's so great that you've worked with Machine Dazzle.
Yeah. So that's one of his pieces. We went to our friend's place where it was stored, got the big garbage bag.
I love it.
Cape and
wow.
Yeah.
What?
Now this was off of your album Bitchcraft.
Yes.
That
was 6 years ago.
But firstly,
in 2022.
2022. So that
and we shot
I've
that
lost
video.
track of time.
I know.
2020.
Yeah, it's when
I had to count. Right. 20,
I think I released that song though in 2019, maybe.
Maybe that's where I got the 6 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. But tell us about the creation of that album. I love this so much. You started in New York City.
Yep. I started working on it in New York, went to this, and then, my partner at the time and I just kind of, that, I don't know. I just had a huge freak out and left New York after
as one does
living here. Yeah.
Wow.
They were like, my parents have this log cabin in the middle of the woods. And it was like, that sounds real nice.
You had to be at the end of your rope and that kind of stuff.
Which woods? Like which woods?
Yeah. Was it in the Catskills?
No, Northern Michigan.
Oh man, Tim, that's like
that gets cold too.
That is
wow. We had a wood stove because we were both from Michigan.
Right.
So, it was about 2 hours north of Detroit. So it was the first time in my adult life, like I had lived that close to my parents and like where I'd been raised. And there was something kind of comforting about that.
It's so rural where you went.
Yeah.
To.
It was
really that's like North Country up there.
Oh yeah.
Did you have moose?
No moose. But yeah, plenty of deer and a lot and
a wood stove.
Wood stove, and it actually kind of, I don't know. I mean, I had been so scared about like the people, and I'm sure it would feel different now.
Right.
Because they're so like emboldened.
Right.
Yeah.
Honestly, I had a lot of good experiences. It's not like I was trying to have a social life up there. I wasn't like, hey, come on over. Like, let me cook you my, hippie food.
But that would be so centering. So getting back to the basics of who you truly are. And again, if you're trying to write, you're writing some authentic stuff right there.
Right.
That's coming from a place of purity.
Right.
Yes.
And you needed to clear all the other garbage out.
Right.
When people make moves like that, that's what it's about.
Dramatic.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
powerful. Yeah.
Yeah. And there was something about the quiet of the cabin. There was something about that violin. Like I knew I wanted to make the violin the main voice. So a lot, I mean, you know, a lot of the violin I play on there is electric violin. So people don't realize
I love
that it's, you know, because sometimes it can sound like a guitar, but I believe there's no guitars on the album. It's all violin.
Wow.
So it's all electric violin, which to me, it never sounds like guitar. It's like so rich and so deep. There is a richness to electrical violin that I can totally, with my ear, differentiate from a guitar. I was going to ask you, are you primarily electric violin?
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's funny because so much of that stuff is born out of practicality. I used to tour with my acoustic violin, but like rock clubs are like chaos.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And you need to be heard.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like, you know,
you need
things go
amplification.
flying off stools and
you need amplification in there.
Yes.
Exactly, Tim.
Yes. So anyway, yeah. So and it's wild. Like since that album came out, you know, like I said, I really wanted to, when I was thinking about the tour of it, I really started to feel like, okay, I don't want to tour in the same way I've been touring. Like I don't want to do the same thing where I'm, you know, I've always had theatrical shows. You know, but I knew that I wanted to like kind of tell like a crafted story. And so a bitch crafted story. Yes. So it's like I finished the record and my partner, Faith Soloway, I'd said to them, like, I just really want to find a way in because I'm the kind of artist, I don't know if you relate, like when somebody's like, you can do anything. It's like, well, yeah, but that's, you know, I've always wanted to like either write a memoir, somehow tell the story, but where do you start? You know, do you start from I was born? Do you start from that's the first trauma?
That's the hardest thing. And often like for my book, I had all the journals, I had all the pictures from late 70s on upwards. Yeah. And I had somebody, it was all my words, but he had to put it together on a timeline for me. Like I just said to you before, where were you in time? That's really important to me. Like, where do you start? A timeline really helps. It doesn't mean you have to start at the beginning. Right. We could open you up in your cabin and then flash back to like what got you to the cabin. Right. Oh, I've gotten so good at this.
Yes. Woman.
So good. But yeah, you know,
how long were you in the cabin?
3 years.
Wow.
Wow. And, you know,
wow, that's impressive.
Yeah. And then we moved to LA.
And then to Los Angeles. I love
an assault to the senses.
You had to have like culture shock going from New York to the cabin to LA. Like,
I think I like that.
I hear you. I would love that too.
Do you think creatively it's like a kick in the butt? Yeah, it gives you something. Right?
Absolutely.
And then it was like, because I had started the album, I knew I was like writing it. And then when I got to LA, I started kind of collaborating with people and, you know, felt like I was a little bit more in the world then. You know,
well, yeah, Northern Michigan, like not exactly, but but you had to be ready to make your return to society, as we say. You had to be ready to take LA on.
Yeah,
and you knew you were.
Yeah,
and so you did.
Yeah, that's true.
So you were getting kind of hungry to get to LA to see what happens. And
and my partner and I had like started this other company. You'll see it. You'll see it in the play.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff here.
Yeah. So anyway, the idea was, I'm going to go back into show business, you know, open myself up again. And
it's interesting that you didn't come back to New York.
I know. I think, I just wanted something new. I think I wanted a washing machine.
Yeah.
A yard.
Oh, yeah, we don't have any of those in New York. You have to
LA is your place. Yeah, if you want to
a yard, you can grow some shade vegetables.
To grow your flower here and there.
A flower and a shade vegetable. You know, it's all good. No, I mean the weather and of course everything that's there. But it's interesting you chose to come back here to do your show at the Wild Project.
I know.
Yeah. Well, New York is theater. New York,
I agree.
And you know what? It feels so good to be back here. And it's one
so
of
happy
my
to have you.
homes. I mean, I was here 15 years,
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
and I'm that like nightmare person that's now like, oh my God, that used to be this,
Yeah.
God almighty. Right.
Can't deal with the change of it all, but
Well,
have
yeah.
to announce it.
That's so well put.
I love that. Love that.
So being back in New York here, you started working on your show at the Wow Project, or did you have another space before? And then you're like, I'm looking for a venue that would be perfect for the show.
Yeah, so it's gone through so many iterations.
I was going to ask about the iterations you've gone through.
So when I started working with Margie Zone, who's the director and my co-writer, she like her gift is like helping an artist draw their story out of them.
How did you find?
She's brilliant.
Mean, you realize what a gift that is.
I know.
How did you find her?
Well, that was Faith Soloway hooked me up with her.
Wow.
She's an old collaborator of Faith.
Yeah.
And so Margie and I, like, we met, and she's almost like she knows me as like better than my therapist, I feel like, because
she needs to.
Yeah.
She needs to know you better than your therapist, because look what she's got to put up on that stage. It's your truth.
Yes.
She's got to put not her truth, your truth up there.
I know. And she's been it's been really healing.
Wow.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, I was going to say that, I got a few dates with the Indigo Girls because they were so supportive of the album. And so I said to Margie, like, here it is. I've got a 35-minute set with a, big audience.
Right.
Like, let's start here. Like, let's craft a story. It's only 5-6 songs that you can play in 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And I knew that I wanted to like cast a spell in the opening.
Yeah.
And I knew that I wanted to bring the audience a little into my childhood, because with the name Bitch, it can be very like armor up.
Right.
Right. And
well, I said to Tim today when he said he was going to be streaming, I'm like, listen, I don't know this person. They just go by the name Bitch, and you're leaving me alone with them. I was
call
making
the cops.
Call the cops. I'm left with someone named Bitch. And when your publicist, referred to you, I'll reach out to Bitch. And I'm like, and then I was worried when I advertised it on social media that I would get, they would kick me off or something. I get a warning for using a curse word.
And did you?
No, not at all. Screw them. Okay. Screw them.
That is so ironic, because when Bitchcraft came out, it's been a huge issue with me.
Stop.
Oh, yeah.
We couldn't place any freaking ads in the metaverse. The record label could not place one ad because they
can't believe
classified the word bitch as hate speech.
Right.
Oh God.
And weirdly, now with the whole new takeover,
they're not. I know. It's
the hate speech thing. And I said to the woman who helps me with social media, I'm like, do you think this is kind of like a weird, like, is this going to be good for me?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
definitely.
I'm sure, Tim, you've noticed nobody's getting flagged anymore. There was one point, like last year, everyone we know was getting flagged for something that had nothing to do with anything.
Yes.
Had this been last year, I would have been flagged and given yet another warning.
Right.
I've used the word bitch, and
also,
they said it was hate speech.
Yeah.
And also in the gay community, I'm almost like, I'm loving that I get to call you bitch.
Yes.
Oh, bitch.
Yes.
Because for me, if somebody does not call me bitch, I'm like, oh my God, they don't like me.
I'm failing.
Because they're always like, bitch, girl.
You're so not bitch. Oh my God, I'm so not cool.
But I'm loving this. But now let's go back to the show.
Yeah.
That because I've done autobiographical. And I've had moments like while we were doing that, and because revisiting some of these places in the past are torturous. They're frightening. Especially if it's trauma. That there were times when I was just a mess on the floor, just in tears. Did you experience anything like that?
Yes, I have been. I mean, it's kind of ongoing.
Yeah.
And like, it's like first day of tech, and it's like there's all these people in the room that are, it's not just me and Margie anymore. And, you're sharing these like really vulnerable things
with people, strangers to
very
you.
raw. There's like this, voiceover of my dad yelling at me, and I'm like,
wow.
Yeah. And like I noticed so, you know, you were asking about the iterations, and, you know, I toured this thing, you know, just kind of finding it for a good year. We did it a couple times at Joe's Pub. And then this summer I was doing it in P-Town every summer. We did kind of like a rock and roll version, like a more cabaret version.
Yeah.
And so now this Wild Project one is a rewrite, because we knew it was like, okay, we're in a real theater. But I noticed last summer, I mean, it's like every week, you know, I'm like basically sharing my scars.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And it's
right.
It's intense.
But that's what you do in an autobiographical performance.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's your story.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that it is traumatizing to revisit
it.
trauma.
And I think that's why people are like, oh, it's brave, you know, because this shit, I have been trying to sweep this shit under the rug for years. That broom.
That's where the broom came from. I wasn't a witch. It was a regular broom, but as performers, for us, I think you know, and I think of things commercially. Your product, Tim's product, his show is so fabulous. Ooh. I left there a mess. Wow. I was in tears. I took all of your trauma from that stage, and I brought it into me, and it brought up a lot of things you said opened up wounds in me, which I'm sure seeing yours will. But you know what? I want that. I want to be able to feel on that level. I want to know who you are, what you went through. There's something like a kumbaya moment, knowing that you had that pain and I had that pain and Tim had that pain. We shared that pain. That's what makes us human beings.
Because it's real. That's the thing, is you're sharing your realness with
your authenticity.
Yeah.
And that's like something Margie's helped me reveal too, is like, in a lot of ways, like in my young 20s, like naming myself bitch was a way to put up a shield.
Right.
You know, to like fight the world.
Yeah, it's like screw you.
Right.
Yeah.
Keep it at arm's distance. Yeah.
Right. Yes. And then, you know, and that worked for a while. You know, and now it's like, I think the biggest lesson that I've had is, I'm sure you both know Brene Brown. You know,
I don't know, but tell me. If I don't know something, because I'm always learning.
Brene Brown is amazing.
Tell me
just about vulnerability.
Okay.
And about the power of vulnerability. And it really is true, because, you know, like I said, I was doing this show like in rock clubs across America, like dragging props around. I'm like, what? You know, and people were having such a visceral response to it, you know, and it just made me realize, like, okay, when you share those deeper things and like the harder things to share, like it is connective, you know, and it is it's the real truth of being human. You know,
now I don't think you really finished when you were saying the Indigo Girls, that you kind of tested out a little
open.
What was the audience reaction? How did that react?
They were very moved, you know. It's like I remember like calling Margie, like crying on my way to the gig. I'm like, I'm really gonna like stand up there and like do a monologue, like I'm in some bad like high school, you know, black turtleneck, like
definitely the black turtleneck, right? No color, black turtleneck, right. Do my monologue, right?
With a beret.
She was like, "Yep, you're gonna do it," you know, and I was like,
"I'm curious, because the Indigo Girls is my generation, not yours. What was how did their audience react to you?"
They've been very responsive, and I'll tell you, like, I opened for them when I first went solo, and I toured with them for quite a while, like in the 2005 to 2007 or so. And I feel like this phase, because I'm being more vulnerable, the reaction is instead of fighting, you know, I'm out of the fight, you know, and like it has been so powerful. Like their audiences have really
they've connected to you. Well, you're more, I don't know who you were before, but there's a lot just in our talk, seasoned, and you know what I mean by that. And you're not hiding it. It's out there. And now as you grow into the next bitch, pardon the pun, that will come out more and more. So that's what that audience was responding to.
Well, what we have talked about here today is your evolution.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is where you're at. And I cannot be more proud of you.
Yeah.
for
Thank
you have
you.
the courage, the strength, everything that you've shown to get to where you are with this show right now. That's a lot.
Thank you.
That's
It's pretty.
Thank you. Well, wait till you see it. What if it's a disaster? No.
It can't be a disaster because we talk about tech and everything else. I
we're in
always
tech right
believe
now.
Right.
the raw, whatever the raw is up there, that's the meat and potatoes, bitch. It's not
Right.
all the bells and whistles or whatever.
Right,
It's
the lighting cues and
honestly, everything could go wrong. I'm coming to see you. I want to know. I'm coming to see you because there's going to be stuff I can connect to and things I love and maybe things I hate and wonder why where is that perception coming from? When I see anyone, that should be for all of us. I analyze everything I see and I enjoy it because I come at it that way.
Yeah.
I'd be a terrible critic because I would be so middle of the road. I would because I see my reactions. There's things I hate and I can say that. And then I love this. It's never going to be a pardon the pun, Johnny or Janie one note. It's about the experience. You're going to take me on a trip.
Yes, it'll be a wild broomstick ride.
A broomstick. I need to ask you your coven connection. So we've made a number analogies to Wicca here. I personally, my other side, I make films about rituals in places like Africa. So most of my training has happened with Yoruba, like on the ground in a village called Ife. I've spent a lot of time in those realms.
Oh, so you're a real witch.
Well, there are some queens that would obviously agree with you. No, but
witch, bitch,
witch bitch is
it all applies.
I've always been fascinated by Wicca, and here, even in the United States, my grandmother came to this country and she read tarot and tea leaves for a living. I come from we're English Scotch on my mom's side, so I grew up with all of that. So it's always interesting. I run into more people out there. I'm sure Tim does. We're in New York, and everyone says they're a witch, they're this, they're that. You are not. Okay, you have nothing. There's nothing special about you. You are not a Reiki master. I'm rolling that into it. You're not.
New T-shirt.
Yeah,
not a Reiki master.
It's like they go on LinkedIn and they write a bio. I'm a witch. No, you're not. So, or a Reiki master. But tell me what your connection is with Wicca, if there is one.
Yeah, I will say.
Or elements.
Right. Yes. I mean, I come at it with, I've never studied Wicca, and I don't. Yeah, like I in some ways I feel like a fake witch. Like I'm a little bit self-taught.
Right.
And
right.
I feel like the way that, there's something about the image of a witch, that is so fascinating to me. And I'm always somebody who's like trying to undo anything that's like gendered. It's like
it's undoing. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
What is it about gender that makes you want to take that apart?
Okay, well, like when I think about a little kid me, like what I saw of a witch, ugly, right? She's ugly, she's mean, she has a bad nose, a wart, whatever.
Well, that's how we were depicted as kids, right?
Exactly, and like all of those things, again, like in my lifelong feminist revelation, I'm always trying to undo that. Like, oh, okay, right, of course, that's like a story told to us about our own power,
right?
And like. Have you ever like heard the thing about that maybe the image of women riding the brooms was actually a masturbation reference?
I never heard that, but I could totally see that.
Like she's actually a sexually liberated woman who knows how to like get
pleasure, had a pleasure.
And so that gets like turned and twisted, by patriarchy, like, oh, this is evil. You know what I mean? So that's like kind of the angle I come at it.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah.
Yeah, like kind of reclaiming.
Tarnish the reputation of feminine power and sexual pleasure and any good that they might experience or might contribute, turn it evil. Turn it wicked.
Like like the witch hunts, it's like a lot of women who are like practicing like using herbs and
that still are. I mean, really essential oils and herbs and Tim's been to my house. Everything's out. The essential oils are out. The mirrors are out. I strongly, from my time spent in Africa with both shaman and women, took that, because to me there will always be something to that. This is not mumbo jumbo. And now more than anything, I think we all need to figure out how to harness energy. I know you know this.
Yes.
Whether you're aware or not, your trip that you've been harnessing energy all along. I mean, how does somebody go from like coming here, then they're on tour, now they're opening for the Indigo Girls? You know what? I've interviewed a lot of people. This is not beginner's luck when that kind of stuff happens. Your energies that are around you. First of all, you have an incredible aura. The minute you walked in the door and you yelled, "You must be Wendy," I'm the person that would yell, "And you must be bitch," because it's all out there. You're harnessing your energy for something positive, which is really great. We all need that now more than ever.
So true.
And also, it sounds like your journey has been happening with intent.
Yes.
It's been unfolding intentionally. So,
right.
And you're just going with it, which I love.
You guys, I love you.
Yeah, we are. We'll light some candles after the show. No, I'm just joking. We're, Tim and I come at everything from a very positive point of view, and that's the basis of this show. We love interviewing people. We love telling and sharing and having our audience hear from the wonderful people we have on here. It's a very positive thing. And it's our power to be able to do that.
Yeah. And I can tell you both love people.
We love,
the curiosity about people's stories.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me?
Our shared humanity,
It's our shared humanity. Right. At the end of the day. Okay.
And I am loving sharing yours. I'm loving
I'm loving having Tim back. Tim had a family thing for a month and I missed him. And I lost my sister. He lost his sister. She passed.
I went out to be with her during her transition.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
But so many people have been dealing with things like that. And my energy and the people that watch and everyone who loves you, people can say what they want on social media, but there was so much incredible energy being sent out to you, Tim.
I know,
which is why I'm still on. He who cannot be named. I'm still on there because there is positive things that can come from that.
Well, and that's our role too.
Yeah,
as humans right now is to shine that light.
We're gonna shine that light no matter what.
To be So
the dates of your show at the Wild Project.
Thank you. We go into previews this Friday. 7th, 8th, 9th previews. It opens the 10th, and we run until March 1st is closing.
Wow.
This is a good long run.
Yeah.
I love her. Hey, how about that? How the hell did that ever happen?
They can find out more information on your website, right? At bitchmusic.com.
Thank you. Yep. Tell them not to Google bitch. They'll just be traumatized.
Yeah.
I did. Okay, I did. I can tell. No, but you can Google bitch. And if you keep scrolling, you'll find stuff.
Okay.
Or you can Google bitch images and see what comes up. Or you could go to bitch music on Instagram.
Yep.
Is that right? Okay.
And wildproject.org.
Yeah, I love Wild Project.
Me too.
The Fruit Festival they're great. And a quick personal question: is Jed Ryan reviewing your show?
I don't know.
Okay, well I'm going to make sure that happens. Yeah, he's great, and
okay,
we're all hooked in together, and he reviews things there all the time. We all did a film together too. I don't know how you feel about it. Well, called Modest Male Exposure. You would probably love it because it's almost like a feminist point of view on men.
Ooh.
Written by a guy, written by Jed and everyone. We have that whole spectrum. We have the L, the G, the B, the T, the Q, and it's actually an extremely entertaining, fun film. I will invite you to our next. We all love it together.
Now, gay performer that plays violin occasionally. Do you know Josh Zuckerman?
No.
Josh, and do you know Christine Martucci? Christina
Yes.
Martucci, and she's in
Yes.
New Jersey. She doesn't play violin, but she's a guitarist.
Yes, I know that
She's-
person. I can't
Yeah,
think why.
Christine. I don't know why. I'm feeling YouTube.
Yeah, yeah.
and
Okay.
All right, we're playing the name game.
I
Catherine
love
Schuler,
Christine.
electric violin.
No, don't know
She
her.
plays here too. She's a really good friend of mine. I never even knew
Oh.
she played electric violin. I'm
Well,
like, what
and
the hell
now you also play a ukulele, a bass guitar, and a keytar.
Guitar, yeah.
what's a keytar?
Remember the 80s? It's like it's shaped like a guitar, but it has the keyboard on it.
Oh, that's what.
The keyboard on it.
Yes.
Yes.
That's very cool.
I love that thing. I wrote a lot of Bitchcraft on that because it has built-in beats.
Oh,
You
sweet.
know? And because I grew up with a tap studio in my house, like the floors always had rhythm coming out of it.
Yeah.
So
Oh my God, that's genius. Tim, I'm so glad you brought that up. That's brilliant, right? You can totally connect to it. Tap, right.
So I always need a beat to write to, you know. So
I
they keep
love
like,
that.
"Ooh, bossa nova,
Yeah.
you know. And I'm like, okay, I'm feeling a groove. I wrote "You're the Man" on that keyboard.
Right. That is
Oh my God, I love that.
absolutely absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, so you'll see the guitar in the show.
Oh, sweet.
What do you plan on doing after March when the show's over?
Oh my God, relax. Well, actually,
Yeah.
weirdly, I booked a West Coast tour. So
Oh,
after
another
closing-
tour. Right.
I'm going out to do the West Coast from March 6th to the 15th with my friends. There's they have a band called Skip the Needle. So we're doing like a co-headlining tour of the West Coast. And then I rest.
Yeah,
She
okay.
will finally rest. Thank
You deserve that
God.
rest. You deserve that rest.
earned
I would
that.
recommend go to the cabin.
My God,
get
I
the
know.
That's so
out.
funny. He's saying go to the cabin, and I was going to say, why don't you go to Puerto Vallarta? A lot of our friends
Ooh.
are performing down there
Oh,
now.
I want to get hooked into that scene.
It's
Yeah,
not that hard to
definitely.
do, and that would really be great. Seriously, I'm trying to figure out what I can do. I just MC, but this was a rough winter for me.
Yeah,
I'm saying to the
I
person
love
with the
Puerto
cabin in
Vallarta.
Michigan.
Yeah. Well,
Rough
that was
for
my
me.
ex. So I
There we go. Let's go blame it on the ex.
ex.
That cabin in the woods in Michigan.
Now, you also you were nominated for a GLAAD Media Award.
Yeah.
Was it a GLAAD Media Award? I think.
This one that you were
Well,
talking
no,
about?
she was actually nominated. Tim,
I
the
thought back
night
in
of-
like 2002 or something.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
What was
Yep,
that
we
for?
were nominated for Bitch and Animals' last record, Sour Juice
for the
and
last
Wine.
record, which is really cool.
Sweet,
But
'cause
Tim,
that's
you know
sweet.
what?
But then you also got a GLAM Award.
Did
She
not
was
know.
nominated
Oh,
up
stop
there
it.
when they were. Yeah,
She
we were
just told
sitting
me.
there, and I'm like, you know, they scroll like
What category?
It was the shows. She was up against The Village and a whole bunch of shows that I didn't recognize that were on there. So it was shows, the show category.
Congratulations
heard
on the nomination.
And they announced them, and I heard Bitchcraft, and I was sitting with Jed Ryan. I'm like, oh my God, that person's coming on the show. I didn't even know they were nominated for a Glam Award, and neither did they.
Yeah,
I love it.
Emily knows.
I wonder if Emily
I'll
knows.
tell
Yeah,
her.
because I heard it, and it was like, oh wow, you know, yeah, it was an amazing night. Anyway,
Well,
you have just been a breath of fresh air.
Aw, you
Absolutely.
That's why you blew in that door today.
Absolutely. I
Thank
cannot
you.
wait to see Bitch Fest.
Yeah.
Me too. So nice to meet you both.
Yeah.
So good to
And-
meet you.
And you'll keep us in your loop. One last question from me, because I was nosing all over the internet and everything. So you are really part of a whole feminist genre of music. And this is something which I didn't realize how big it was. For me, I guess I saw that documentary on the Indigo Girls, but I never categorized it. And like Tim was talking about Lilith Fair, but you know what? It's much bigger than that. And there's so many people involved in it. Are there big festivals happening with feminist music and all over the country?
Oh man.
There should be.
There should be.
Yeah.
There should be. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'll see a whole scene in my show about a big festival.
A big
really-
festival.
Nice.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yay.
Yeah. So I do. It's like, you know, I feel like in the patriarchy, like our lineage gets cut. We get cut off from each other, you know, and so we don't have these like unifying
Right.
things as much
Agreed.
as that we should and that we
Right.
need. But yeah, it's
Well, now we're going to be working for that unification harder than ever.
yep.
Oh my goddess.
Oh my
As my friend,
goddess.
do you know Amy Ferris? She's a feminist writer.
No.
As Amy would say, oh my goddess. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you got your work cut out for you is all I can say. And I really believe it's going to happen through the arts. We need to turn things around. And I guess what's interesting me about the feminist music movement, that may be a good way of doing it.
Great.
You know,
So mote it be.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I better get back to tech.
Yeah, right.
Oh my gosh.
You got to get back to tech.
Middle of mic cues.
We just, when the
Bid,
show's over,
thank
we
you.
simply hang out. We take a picture. It takes 2 seconds.
Oh, great.
All right.
Bid,
Thank you, everybody.
so very much. We saw
Thank
it.
you.
This was great.
So